Hallelujah. 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 Praise be to the mighty Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome again to this moment in time for us to get together and to learn about the Torah. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor and it's a delight to know the things that you and I have never been told by anybody. If it was left up to anybody on the face of this earth, they would have never told you and I about Yah. They haven't. From the moment that you arrived on this earth until the time in which you were shaken and waking up to the fact of who you are as a people, and to wake up to the fact of the truth about who Yisrael is, you and I would have been just done. But Yah has had mercy and he has had grace and he's had compassion and he has remembered us as a people. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for you. And I'm thankful for your time. I'm thankful for your commitment. I'm thankful for all things that Yah has put in our lives. Yah hasn't forgotten about us. And this week's Torah portion is about this idea of the kukothai. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. I'm going to break out not too much Hebrew, but I'm going to let you know I want to be more focused. I think if we focus on, the main points of the Torah portion, because we can't get it all. There's so much in here. I mean, even when you look at the breakdown, it's 2 chapters, but it's so full of information. Talks about the blessings and the cursings in chapter number 26, which goes along with chapter number 28 of the book of Deuteronomy. But here the Most High is talking to that first generation, and he's letting them know at that moment that if you guys go against me, then you guys are going to receive some curses. So the curses that happened to the children of Israel are not just in the book of Deuteronomy, they're in chapter number 26 of the book of Leviticus, which we called Vayikra. So Yah's proclaiming to the children of Israel what is going to happen if they go against him. Okay? If they go against him, this is what's going to happen to you. So he's letting them know up front what this relationship is going to consist of. Okay? So, but kukothai has to do with in my regulations. In my regulations. Not the regulations of the lands around you, not in the regulations or the rulings to regulate. Okay, regulations has to do with regulate. Regulate has to do with control. These are my control mechanisms that I need you to do. Last week, it talked about the Sabbaths of the land. It talks about the Sabbaths every 7 years. You're supposed to let the land rest, and then 7 sevens will bring you to a time of Yovel, which is a time of release. So the Most High is continuing talking about that. So even though we have Torah portions and they're broken up into sections, the Torah portion of this week goes along with what happened on Bahar Sinai. It's still a continuation of that. Okay, it's just another understanding about what did I tell you about those Shabbats. And what I told you, you need to understand. Okay. You're going to see this word, this English word today, intention, more than anything else. I was moved to use this word because I felt as if this Torah portion had to do with the intentions of the Most High, right? Within any relationship, when someone gets involved with someone, you have to know whether or not they have good intentions for you or they're coming to get in this relationship that have bad intentions. What I've discovered is that the Most High has nothing but good intentions for us. He didn't come into this relationship with us to harm us. That's a misunderstanding. That's a I would say a misdiagnosis of what the situation is. Even though he talked about how you're going to eat your children, your sons and your daughters, we would automatically think that he's the one who caused us to eat our children, our ancestors to eat their children. If he says that I'm going to bring disease upon you. I'm going to attack your body. We would think that the Most High, that was his intention. That's not his intention. Those are the results and the consequences of our ancestors not doing what he told them. When Yah came into this relationship, he had an intention. And that intention is that the Most High says that I am Yahweh. I'm your Elohim who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. We often hear this all the time. The Most High is letting them know that I have to keep reminding you of what my intentions are. His intention was that you and I would not be slaves to any other people. His intention, because like we read last week, that you're my slaves. I came and I got you so you wouldn't be a slave to anyone else. I came and started this relationship with you. Even though you would be my slave and you would serve me, I would not put something on you that was difficult and hard where you couldn't do it. I broke the bars. I broke the yoke that was on your neck so that you can walk upright. That word upright there is mean to be established. To be established is what? To be established as a people. I need you to stand upright. I need you to be the people that have the foundation of truth and the foundation of righteousness. I want you to be the people that can stand up in the face of opposition. I told you, if you read your Torah portions, the Most High said, I told you that you would be able to defeat your enemies. You would be able to stand against those who come against you. 5 of you would be able to chase 100, and 100 of you would be able to chase 10,000. That's Yah's intention. To give you and I and our ancestors superiority over everyone else on the face of the earth. Because Yahweh has superiority over everything and everyone. And the people that are associated with Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh are going to have to be able to stand up and to live in a way that would be pleasing to the Most High. Bekukothai. He says these are the laws. I highlighted there in purple. I'm not purple and orange. Going along with this word that you see up above in the title, kok, bakuko, bakok. They call them laws, which they are, okay? But they're a certain type of law, right? They're a decree. He says rulings and teachings, which is the Mishpatim, and the teachings is the Torah. I'm giving you a body of laws. I'm giving you a body of instructions. They're not just, they're multifaceted. They're not just linear, and that's, one way. I want you to understand all the different aspects because Yahweh is a king. He says that Yahweh himself gave to the people of Israel on Mount Sinai through Moshe. These are the Ele de HaKukim and the Mishpatim. These are the Kukim and the Mishpatim. These are the laws, the regulations, and the rulings, the HaMishpatim. These are the decisions, the Mishpatim are the rulings, which have to do with the decisions that I've made for you to execute. And these, and Wahatoroth, this is the instructions. So I have instructions to go along with how you make the decisions about judging and ruling. I've given you the instructions on how to keep the Hakukim, which is in my Bekukothai. Okay, so you see the word Hakukim right here on the bottom that has the highlighted in orange. It's right here. That's the root of Bekukothai. So you hear the different pronunciations. You got Bekukothai and you got Hakukim, right? They're related. They have the same root, okay? So Yahweh has given these instructions in which Yahweh has given, okay? So sometimes we forget about this word Nathan, okay? In English, it would be Nathan. And that means to give, or to set, or to put, or to place. by you and I having the creator of the heavens and the earth to decide to do a Nathan or to be able to give to us. Yah was giving us something. He's placing something in our care. And he says, Beno, between you, or excuse me, himself and Uvain, in between the sons of Yisrael on Bahar Sinai, by Yad Moshe, by the hand of Moshe. See, they say through here, but it's with the hand of Moshe. He's the one who decided to go up on the mountain and receive the instructions and to receive the kukothai, Yahweh's kuko, okay, the kukim, okay, as you and I have been learning over the last several years. And we're going to continue to learn. We're not going to ever stop learning. That's what makes this very special, because a lot of people get, I would say, they get lazy and they don't want to learn anymore. They figured they understand a couple of Hebrew words. I'm good. I know what shalom means. I know what boker tov is. I know what zadik is. I know what shema is, or shemoah. I know how to say lo, meaning no. We have to be open to continuing to learn and to add upon our learning, because Yahweh is our shepherd. And our shepherd is leading us and guiding us in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So no matter where you and I will go, he would always be with us. Yah is about teaching us. He's about training us. And this word kok, that's the root of the word for hakukim or bakukothai, okay? And what does it mean? Is it an abstract term? No, it's not abstract. It actually has a concrete meaning. Within these letters that you see here, the two Hebrew letters that are here, the Kate and the Kof, okay? That's where the Kate is the CH right here, and the Kof is this letter Q right here, okay? So this is the Q, that's what it looks like, and this is the CH sound, okay? So each one of these letters means something, okay? The letter, the Kate, represents the wall. The wall, okay? So this sound, CH, is this letter right here that represents a wall, okay? The kof right here, the kof that you would wear for a kufi or whatever, that right there means to gather, because it has to do with the sunlight. Okay, the ancient Hebrew is a circle, which has to do with the sun with a line going through it. And that sun is telling you that right, this which is above, this part right here, this above the line, is the sun when it's coming out of its horizon. And this is when it's gathering back when the sun goes down, is sunset. So one is sunset and one is the sunrise. But what it is the gathering of light, okay? So you have these two ideas that are found in Yah's decree. The wall gather. Well, what do you mean the wall gather? Well, walls are used for separation. Walls are used for separation. It separates the inside from the outside. The separation is the wall, which is this letter right here. Okay. The coming together is the idea of the light. Okay. That's the coming together. So that which is separated is coming together. So when the Most High talks to us about his bakukothai, okay, if you walk in my bakukothai and you teliku, meaning you walk and live within my kukothai, what he's telling us is this: those of you who have been separate from me and who will be separated from me are now going to be coming together to meet with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to not break down the wall, because I'm not going to ever break down the wall. I'm never going to break down the wall of separation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you and I to come together, in the way that you and I come together with Yah through this wall is through a door, or what they would call a gate. So Yah opens up the gates and he lets us to come in Then once you and I come inside the door and we come inside the gate, inside the wall, then you and I have what they will call protection. We're protected when we go inside of this wall because we've been on the outside. You see? When you look at the letter Kate, right? The first part of this word for coke, you look at that letter, you can see just in the letter itself that there's an entry into the letter. And here is the wall. That's the wall of separation that stops things from coming in to be able to attack. But there's a way to get in. And the way that you get in through any wall or through any gate or through any wall is through a gate. This is the gate you got to walk in. So I'm gathering that which is on the outside to come together so we can be together. Okay, Yah uses his kukim to bring us together. For example, one of the kukim that you and I just finished doing and celebrating, the first one that we celebrated this year was called what? What's the first Moedim, the appointed time for us to come to Yah? On the 14th day. Huh?
Pesach.
There it is. It's Pesach. Chapter number 12 of the book of Exodus, Shemot. Yah gives you a coke, and he says that it's forever. It is forever. Okay? The matzah, Feast of Matzah is a coke. It's forever. The Feast of Shabbat is forever. The Feast of Sukkot is forever. The Day of Atonement is forever. You and I want to think that we're going to always have complete access to Yah, as Christianity has told us. And Yah is saying there's a time that I'm going to separate from you, and there's a time we're going to come together. The time that you and I come together is at these times, my decrees, where I am the king of the universe. I am not a human being. I'm a king. When I call you to come to me, you will be gathered to me when I say it. That's the reason why I'm giving you my Bakukothai. I told you on many other occasions the things that you have to do. These are decrees. These are laws. These are authoritative decrees that the king of the universe has given to his people. Yah has not given this to any other people. Nobody on the face of the earth knows him except the children of Israel, except the sons and the daughters of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Because you and I are in a covenant with Yah. Yah has stated his intention. He's told us what his intentions are. They're always for good. If you and I would do what he says. Operative word, if, conditional. If you live, if you teleku, if you would walk, that teleku, that live right there means that you're walking and living your life by a staff within your hand. English, L-A-K, lock. The L is this lamed, and this cough right here is this, meaning you. And the staff. You have a staff in your hand. You have a purpose in your hand. You have a purpose for your life. You have intention. See? So if you live, conditional, live by my kukim. You live by my kukim. My right here, Bakukothai, the name of our Torah portion. That's Bakukothai right there, my regulations. I'm regulating you. If you live by my control, right? Because I have to have control over my kingdom and my subjects and my slaves. And you observe, meaning you guard my mitzvothai. Okay, so mitzvothai is my mitzvot. And obey them. That means to do. If you do them, conditional, then. See, this is the part that you and I have never been told. In our former way of life, we thought that it didn't matter if and then. Now it doesn't matter. Now you can sin and you're forgiven. You can lie and you're forgiven. You can commit adultery and you're forgiven. You can steal, you're forgiven. No, that doesn't fly in Yah's kingdom. It's always going to be an if and then. If then, if you, I will provide the rain. They have there the rain, which is a problem that you need in its season. It doesn't say that in Hebrew. It doesn't say the rain. It says your rain. Gishmekim. The Gesham right there is rain, and the Kem right here is yours. And it talks about the second person masculine plural. I'm talking to the group of you, all of you. I'm not talking about the rain. There's rain that could be happening anywhere around the world. This is a different rain. This is your rain. This is a rain that I'm giving to you that you need in its season. So it's seasonal, and it's based upon if you would walk and live by my bakukothai, my regulations, and guard my mitzvothai, which is my commandments, and obey them, ta'aseh otham, to do them. Here it is, wa'asitem otham, you would do them, okay? Te'asah means to do, to make happen. Then Yah promises something. This is his intention. I will. Okay, I have, listen, I have, wanathati, the gishmakim. I have given your rain in its season, and wanathana, the haaretz. So Yah is going to give the rain, the produce of the land. She's going to respond. That's why it's called Yavula. Okay, going back to our word Yovel at the different times that she's supposed to give. And the eights is the trees of the field will yield their fruit. So based upon your obedience, the Yah is going to give rain. The land is going to give her Yavula, okay, her produce, and the trees in the field of the land are going to give its yield of their fruit to you. That's Yah's intention. So what we see, everyone, is an ecosystem, how everything works, and it's based upon the obedience. It's based upon the living in a certain way that this is going to happen for the children of Israel. Yah had the intention not only to give the land or to give you from the land of Yavula, he not only has the intention to give you the Gishmakan, which is the showers that you need in its seasons, and not only the trees to bring forth its fruit. I will turn towards you. That turning right there, everyone, is Yah saying in Hebrew, I'm going to turn my face. I'm going to look at you and look at your situation. To what? I don't turn to you just to look at you for harm and for good. I mean, for bad. I look for you to good. But also on the flip side, Yah can turn and look to us and turn his face from us, and all bad is going to happen to us. He can actually set his eyes on us for that which is terrible. But I want to make you productive. I want you to increase. I want you to be fruitful. I want you to multiply your numbers. And as you notice, going back to the Gishmakim, which is the rain and the showers, going back to the land and its produce, going back to the field with the trees and its fruit, all of those things are physical. They're all physical. I will turn towards you and make you productive physically and increase you physically, your numbers, and uphold my covenant with you. That is the covenant. And when he's talking about making uphold, that uphold means to establish. That's the reason why he brought them out of the land of Mizraim, so he could do this for them, because their numbers were being chopped down. They weren't being productive for themselves. They were being productive for the slave masters of Mizraim. You will eat all you want. from the last year's harvest and throw out what remains of the old to make room for the new. I put that in italics because it came to my mind that Yah's intention is to get rid of the old and bring in the new. If he has that intention, you and I should have that same intention. We should adopt that same mindset. We should have the mind that we want to get rid of that which is old so we can bring in a new. You and I can't bring nothing new in until we get rid of the old. You got to get rid of the old you. You have to get rid of the old behaviors, the old mindset, the old dietary practices, the old physical activity, the lack of. We have to get rid of the old and make room for the new, the old way of thinking, the old ideas. They're antiquated. They're not working. We have to bring in the new. Yah has an intention. This was his intent. I will put my tabernacle. Again, that word put right there is that word Nathan. To give, to place, to put, to establish. My tabernacle among you, my tent. I want to live with you. That is Yah's intention. And I got there, nafshi, will not reject you. When they use that word I right there, they minimize what Yah was saying. What Yahweh was saying is my soul. Our Elohim is a soul. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. That's why you and I have a nafshi. A nafshi is your soul. It's your very essence of who you are. It's your desires. It's your appetites and the things you like and the things that you don't like. You got it from him. He has a soul. He has a nafshi. You have a nafshika. He said to love me with all of your nafshika, with all of your soul. Give me everything that I gave to you, and I'll give you more. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. He says, I will not reject you. I won't reject you. Okay? I won't put you out. I won't discard you, but I will walk. Now here, I highlighted walk because the way that he says, I will, it is a causative way. It's a hitpael, meaning Yah has decided himself to walk among the children of Israel. The creator of the heavens and the earth and everything in it wants to live and walk among his people. Could you imagine the one who created everything decided that I want to live with you? I want to establish my home on the earth with you. I want to walk among you. Who does that? What kind of Elohim are we talking about? Why does he make it possessive, say, I want to be your Elohim? Why would this great power, the one who brings the seasons and controls the clouds and the sun and the moon and the stars, want to live among his people? Why would he want to walk and cause himself to walk? No one else is forcing him. He wants to do it because guess what? That has been his intention the whole time. Yah has nothing but best intentions for his people. He has nothing but the best intentions for you. But we have a problem. It's been a problem, an old age problem, literally. In the book of Isaiah, chapter number 59, for your records, Yahweh's arm is not too short to save, verse number 1. Nor is his ear too dull to hear. I've read this before, but I really didn't get it until I read this Torah portion. Why is he telling us that his arm is not too short to save? Why is he saying, nor is his ear too dull to hear? It's not saying that Yah, what it's saying, everyone, is that Yah wants to save Israel. It's saying that he doesn't have the inability, he's not incapable. He's not, it's nothing that can stop him from saving us. He's not a human being He's not powerless. He's saying that he does listen. But there's something that's stopping this from happening. There's something that has stopped Yah from saving his people and from hearing their prayers. It's not because of Yah. It's your own crimes that separates you from Elohim. Your Elohim, people. It's your sins that have hidden his face from you. He has hidden his face. We saw in our Torah portion, he said, I'll turn my face to you. I want to live with you. I want to walk with you. I will cause myself. You will increase your numbers and be productive. It is not because Yah's not capable and that he's not able. It's simply because it's our own crimes that separate. Going back to the idea of the wall that separates us from our Elohim. It's not Yah. It never has been Yah. It's because of our sins. It's because of our crimes that Yah has hid his face from us so that he doesn't hear. It's not that he doesn't want to, but there's something that's stopping the connection. And what's stopping the connection, everyone, is what they call in Hebrew your awon. A quick and easy way for you and I to always remember this word, and especially if you are in the makeup industry like a woman. Back in the day, I think in the 70s and the 80s, there was a company called Avon. You guys ever heard of a makeup company called Avon?
Yes.
Okay. In English, you would call iniquity Avon. Kind of crazy, right? Hebrew, the V is not a V sound. It's a wa, so it's awon, not Avon. Awon. The awon is the crime. The awon is the crime that separates us from our Elohim. This is what the problem is. This is the separation, is this. This is what's keeping us outside of the wall. Not allowing us to go into the gate to go see the king. Not to be under the king's protection, not to receive from the king, and to be granted blessing by the king of the universe. It's our crimes. You already know what sin is. We don't have to go over it. You know it's missing the mark. You just know that you're not hitting the target. This awon right here, this is different than your sin. See? In the New Testament, they tell you that, he died for all your sins, but what about your awon? Why are we still separated from Yah if all of our sins are forgiven and somebody died for us? Why? As soon as he died, you know who I'm talking about. Then the wall came down. The wall of partition was to separate us between God. It's now broken, and now we have free access to the king. No, you almost made me say something. That's a lie. That is a lie. What is awon? What is awon? Awon is twistedness, and it comes from the idea of a twisted rope. Well, by nature, ropes already are twisted. They're intertwined. So it's not talking about that. Because ropes can be used for cords, and they can be made straight, and they can tie things together. There's all different type of ways that you can use a rope. This rope means that it's in knots, that it's not straight. It's a twisted rope. The rope by itself is twisted, but this is the twistedness. This is what you would call the perversion, the perversity. It's not straight. It's the twistedness of the thoughts of the human mind that brings about this perversity. You see? I found in the Torah that this perversity and this awon and these crimes are deliberate. They are deliberate. That means that a person has decided that this is what I'm going to do. They're refusing to do what Yah says. Our ancestors were perverse and they were twisted and they refused to do what Yah said. I'm not going to do what you said. I'm not going to listen to what you said. I'm not going to follow the instructions, and it's all deliberate. These are not accidental. These are not shagagas. These are not little errors. You know, hey, I made a mistake. No, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about downright being obstinate. I refuse to do what you say. Awon is guilt. As a result of this twistiness and this perversion and this refusal to do what Yah has said, you automatically are now guilty. In your Torah portion, is guilty because you have gone against the decrees, which is a crime. That's why. Those of you who remain will pine away, talking about in the lands of your enemies. This was part of the chapter number 26 that told you some of the curses that are going to happen to you. You're going to pine away. You're going to come to ruin. I'm going to weaken you. Like I told you about your body. Yah attacked the body. He said, listen, if you do this, this is what's going to happen to your body. I'm going to give you fever and it's going to burn all your body up. You're going to have inflammation problems. I'm going to give you anxiety. You're going to be scared even if you heard a leaf and you're going to start running like somebody's chasing you. I'm going to mess you up. You're going to be so thin. You're going to be bony. I'm going to devastate you. Why? Because I spoke to you from a mountain of devastation and you weren't listening. You're in the lands of your enemies because of your guilt. And because of your misdeeds, your awon, guilt and misdeeds are one and the same. They're synonymous. They're awon. It's because of the perversity. It's the refusal of not doing what I told you over yours and those of your ancestors. It's just not our ancestors, people. It's all of us did not want to do what Yah says. Even to this day, everybody don't want to do what Yahweh says. We make excuses on why we can't do what he says. Why not even give an effort? Well, you know, I could keep matzah. I just don't see any need to get rid of the bread. I just don't. I don't see. I just bought a box of this, you know, these fish sticks that have some crumbs on it that has the bread in it, that has the leaven. But we just bought the fish sticks. We're going to be throwing away $60 worth of food. Well, if you would have prepared yourself and you would have known the matzah was coming, you would have even eaten it or, you know, have taken the time to cook it and prepare it and get rid of it. Or you would have donated and gave it to somebody else to keep Yah's laws, meaning you got to do whatever it takes. Nobody's telling us that. Yes. With no one pursuing, they will stumble over each other as if fleeing from the sword. You will have no power to stand before your enemies. You are in the lands of your enemies. And among the nations, you will perish. The lands of your enemies will eat you up. They will devour you. You know, I put this slide in here this morning because I woke up with it on my mind. You and I don't have any power to stand. When we were with Yah as a people, we were able to defeat our enemies. They were able to fall by our swords. So it tells us something, right? The New Testament tells you that all enemies of Christ have been defeated except for the one enemy, which is death. Right? You're still waiting for him to be defeated. He hasn't been defeated, but every other enemy has been defeated. They have made us put our guards down, and you and I believe that even in the lands that we're in right now, that you don't have any enemies. Your enemies are the peoples of the nations that don't follow Yah. You and I are surrounded by enemies. When the children of Israel were in their land, they had enemies all around them. Now you and I are in the lands of our enemies. They're not your friends. They're your enemies. Some of our enemies, we have made best friends. Some of our enemies, we've actually laid down and had children with them. Some, I'm talking about as a nation. We've gone into business with our enemies. We're eating at the table with our enemies. And now that Christ has torn down the wall of partition between us, there is no more enemies. We're all the same. Whether you're Jew or Gentile, doesn't matter. We're all the same because you have faith in Christ. Yeah, right. Yah has had intention from the beginning. Listen to the intention that he had for the children of Israel. It said he raised up a testimony, meaning aduth, meaning the 10 words in Yaakov, and established a Torah in Israel. He's established instructions in a way to live in Israel. He commanded our ancestors to make this known to their children. Make what known? The testimony. I'm Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. You shall have no other Elohim before me. You shall never make any image of graven images of any other gods to bow down and to serve them. You should keep the Shabbat. Remember it. 6 days you to do your work, and the 7th day you shall rest. This is something we were commanded. Our ancestors were commanded to make this known to their children. Why? So the next generation would know it. The children not yet born, who would themselves arise to tell their own children. We're talking about generations of children who could then put their confidence in Elohim. And what? Not forgetting Elohim's deeds, but obeying his mitzvot. In the book of Psalms, David says that he mentions all day long about Yahweh's deeds, about his wonderful deeds that he has done for the children of Israel. He makes mention of it every single day. He's telling it because this is what he was commanded to do. See, sometimes you and I think that the only commands are the commands that you saw in the 10 words. No, the commands that you and I have is to be educators to our children. And not only to our children, but for our children's children and their children's children. To why? To remember Yahweh so they will put their confidence in Yah. I looked up that word confidence in Hebrew, and it's called kasel. And kasel means to have confidence, but it also means to have stupidity and foolishness. Yah's not asking us to be foolish in our confidence. Okay, that foolishness and the confidence is talking about in one's own loins. And I'd say, well, what does that have to do about a man's loins or a woman's loins? That area where the reproductive organs are. Why from the hips down, or from the hips up, why is he talking about this? Why he does not want us to put our confidence in that? But it's not because of our own efforts and our own strength that we have everything we have. It's because of Yahweh. It's because of Yahweh that we are able to increase our numbers. If our numbers are increased, it's because Yahweh is increased. If our numbers are decreased, it's because Yahweh. If we eat, it's because Yahweh. We starve, it's because Yahweh. If you have wisdom and knowledge and understanding, it's because of Yahweh. If you have any sense of faithfulness, it's because he taught us how to be faithful. It is not our own efforts. It's not because we went to school in our enemies' lands. It's not because they taught us their language. Our very essence of our survival is dependent upon Yah. Why are you so passionate about it? Because I'm seeing it. I understand Yahweh's intention. You and I are here today because of him. The reason why he wants it to happen, everyone, and I don't care if our children are not listening, you keep talking to them. You stay on them every single day of their lives. You tell them. Yes, you might have some successes, but you tell them, thus saith Yahweh. I don't care how old they are. You tell them, thus saith Yahweh. Why? Because Yahweh does not want them to be like their ancestors. I don't want you to be stubborn. I don't want you to be rebellious. I don't want you to be generation and generation of people with unprepared minds. That unprepared has to do with having a seed in one's hand and looking at it and then opening up the ground and putting the seed in the ground and establishing a foundation, a root for the plant so it can grow. I don't want you to be a fool and stupid. I want you to have confidence, and I want you to have that confidence that you pass on to your children. If anybody they need to listen to and believe is their parent. Our ancestors did not have faithfulness to Yahweh. They didn't establish in their minds that it was Yah. And because of this stubbornness, because of this contrariness, because of this rebellion, because of this bitterness towards what he said, because of the hatred that they have for Yah, Yah says, I will bring a sword against you, which will execute the vengeance of the covenant. All the king has spoken. Why is Yah bringing a sword upon you? It's because I spoke to you from Mount Korev. I spoke to you from the mountain of desolation. I spoke to you from Mount Sinai, which is equivalent to Mount Korev, which has to do with a sword. I will bring you to ruin if you go against the covenant. You break the covenant, you're getting the sword. Now that you refuse to do what I say, now here's the intention. Now you have caused this for me now to disperse you among the nations. Why? Because you wouldn't do what I said. Because you didn't keep the land of Shabbats. Because you didn't set your brothers free. Why? Because you didn't listen to the Torah. You didn't guard the Kukim and the Mishpatim and the Mitzvot. You didn't have no regard for it. You hated it. You hated me. And when I bring you there among the nations, I will draw out the sword. I'm going to be in pursuit after you. I'm not going to kill you just in a land. I'm going to take you to your enemies' lands in the nations. I'm going to put the sword on you there. And your land will be a desolation. Korev, same mountain that I spoke to you from. And your cities will be a wasteland. Korev, it will still be a ruin. The children of Israel are going to ask the question. Yahweh says, when you tell this people all that I've said, this is the king of the universe speaking, and they ask you, you can find this in Jeremiah chapter number 16, which is your Haftarah portion. Why has Yahweh decreed? Why has he put this kukim of all this terrible disaster against us? What is our awon? What's our awon? What's our perversity? What have we done? What is our sin that we have committed against Yahweh our Elohim? What is it? What have we done? Then you are to say to them, it is because your ancestors abandoned me, says Yahweh. Our ancestors abandoned you. They forsook you. Why? Because they decided to alone. They made up their minds. They consulted within themselves. They carefully thought about it. They were deliberate to go against me. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't your sin nature. It's what you planned. They wanted to go after other gods. They wanted to serve other gods. They wanted to worship them because those gods don't require nothing from them. But they abandoned me. They forsook me. They had an idea that we can do whatever we want to do. You set us free. Thank you for setting us free from Mizraim. Now we can be who we really want to be. But we'll give you the false narrative from our lips to say, yeah, everything that you said we'll do. They went into the relationship, everyone, with false and bad intentions. Yah did not come into the relationship with false or bad intentions. He came in the relationship with only good intentions for us. They abandoned me and did not keep my Torah. That's what they did. That's why all this calamity has come upon the nation. And you have done worse than your ancestors. For look, each of you lives according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, so that you don't listen to me. Awon, perversity, a twisted rope, is saying, I don't want to be straight. Yah says, I want you to be straight. No, I don't want to be straight. I want to be twisted. Yah says, I want your mind to be straight. I don't want to. Yah says, I want you to stand uprightly and be established. I don't want to. I refuse to do that. Because if I do that, that means I got to listen to you. That means that I got to keep your Shabbat. That means I can't buy and sell on the Shabbat. That means I can't speak my own words on your Shabbat or do what I normally do during the week during your Shabbat. That means that I can't make any money on the Shabbat. I got to keep commerce going because I got bills to pay. So I got to keep business going. Yah says that you should not hold a grudge against your brother. No, I can't do that. They owe me money. Yah says you shouldn't marry another woman out of your culture, out of who you are as a people. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. So rather, instead of trusting Yah, what we've done is come up with our own plans. We don't like this. This doesn't apply to us, right? Because it's in the book of Ezekiel, right? Or the book of Jeremiah, right? So those are the old prophets. That's done away with. That's old. Yah's telling us that you have done worse. You have done worse than your ancestors. And if you refuse to acknowledge this, I'm going to go against you continually. It is the awon. It is the guilt. It is the going outside of what Yahweh has said and not adhering to the kukim, or what they call his bakukothai, my regulations. Therefore, I'm thrusting you out of this land into a land you have not known, neither you nor your ancestors. Because it's always going to be about you and your ancestors. There you will serve other gods day and night, for I will show you no favor. A lot of people don't even come to listen to the teaching of the Torah in which I teach. They stop coming because this is one of the reasons. It's because I would say to them, thus saith Yahweh, I will show you no favor. And he said, no, surely Yahweh is with us. Yah says, I'm against you. While you're in the lands of your enemies, they stop coming because they don't like that. They would rather for Yah to be thinking that Yah's with them. And he's not. They would rather say that Yah's blessing them. And he's not. They would rather say he's turned his face towards them. And he's not, and he hasn't. Well, what about us knowing the Torah? What about it? If we want to be honest and we want to be transparent and we want to stop playing religious games, we would know that Yah is not living among us, and we know that Yah has not walked among us. Yah is not in this filthy place. And if he says that when I send you into the lands of your enemies, that that's where I'm going to go against you, and when you get there, I'm going to put the sword after you, he's not joking. He's not playing. We talked about intention, but now I want to talk about inheritance, because in your Torah portion it's mentioned. And then your Haftarah was mentioned. Here's a little something to tell us something about Yah. Yah has an inheritance that he's given to the nations. Yah has given the nations an inheritance. What he's allotted to them, and according to this text in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, he talks about Israel serving other gods. And what he did not want them to do is to look up at the sun, the moon, and the stars and to worship them. And the reason for this was, he said, for the same reason, do not look up at the sky. Don't and at the sun and the moon and the stars and everything in the sky, and be drawn away to worship and serve them. I want to pause right there on that point, because in your Torah portion, it said that Yah is going to destroy the sanctuaries where they had pillars for sun worship. So obviously, they didn't get the message. Obviously, when I mean they didn't get it, meaning they didn't want to get it. They refused to hear the message. They worship the sun. Just like today, people are worshiping the sun on the day of the sun, Sunday. They're worshiping the sun, okay? The S-O-N and the S-U-N. Yahweh your Elohim has allotted these to all the peoples under the entire sky. Yah has given these, the sun and moon and the stars, as a portion, as an allotted part of a heritage for all the nations. What is he saying? What he's saying is that the nations are going to be the ones that are going to worship the moon, the sun, and the stars, the sun, moon, and the stars. But not you. You're not supposed to do that. Why? Because in your Haftarah, I told you. Okay? Here, the prophet Jeremiah is speaking on behalf of the nation of Israel. If you didn't know, I want to tell you that the prophets, when they speak, they're talking to Yah as an intermediator between Yah and the people. They're speaking on behalf of the nation of Israel to Yah. Yah has decided to use prophets to speak to Israel through the prophet to Israel to tell them what he said, but also too, when he's speaking to Jeremiah or Isaiah, he's speaking to the nation of Israel. He's not talking just to them. Here he says, Yahweh, my strength, my fortress, my refuge in the time of trouble. Well, who is the strength? Yahweh is. Well, what strength is he? What strength is he? He's your Uziah. What's the Uziah? Strength in there is called Uzi. Yah says, I'm going to break your strength. So this prophet right now is letting us know that at this moment, when Yah becomes our strength, and Yah becomes my fortress, my strength, my refuge in a time of trouble, it means that a time of trouble is coming, and it means that at that time of trouble, Yah then is going to be the strength of his people. So this in particular verse in Jeremiah chapter number 16 is making reference to the time of trouble. And the only ones that are going to be able to say that Yah is my strength, my fortress, and my refuge is the ones who know Yah. Like Yah says, my bakukothai, that thigh is my kukim. My mishpatai, that I is my judgments, my mishpatim. Now it's reversed to say that Yah is my strength, my fortress, my refuge in a time of trouble. The nations will come to you from the ends of the earth, talking to Yahweh and saying, our ancestors inherited nothing but lies, futile idols, completely useless. Why would they say that? Because they had no strength in their idols. Why? Because they had nowhere to hide. Like Yah's our fortress, they don't have nowhere to go. They don't have a refuge. They don't have a strong holding place, a stronghold for them to run in a time of trouble. But you and I will. They made the sun, the moon, and the stars their gods. They can't save them. They made Christ of the New Testament, a human being that takes a dump, to be their Elohim. The one who said he died for them and his blood was shed, and therefore they're free from their sin, but sin is rampant on the earth, and you're still suffering from it. Those are nothing but lies. Eat my body and drink my blood. That is a lie. You get to live forever. That is a lie. Come, take upon my yoke and learn of me. That is a lie. I know that you heard, but it's been said to you, but I say unto you, that's a lie. Don't judge, otherwise you'll be judged. That's a lie. You can eat anything you want. It's all blessed. It's all the same thing, clean and unclean. That's a lie. The Jew and the Gentile are one alike. They're still the same. That's a lie. Yah has already told us that the nations are worshiping idols and that they're full of lies. So why is it the nation of Israel, the people of Yaakov, the family from Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, sleep on the fact that these are lies? When they say it's useless, there's no one able to save them in their time of trouble. Where is Christ mentioned here? They don't mention nothing about Christ, how he died for them on the cross. They don't mention about what Paul, Peter, James, John, Titus, Timotheus, or any of those other people, Barnabas said. They don't mention nothing about the New Testament. And they don't mention nothing about Jerusalem coming out of heaven. They don't mention nothing. But we've got nothing but lies. So if all they receive is lies, then the opposite of that is the truth. And the truth of that is that Yahweh is the strength of all that call upon him. Yahweh will be a fortress and a refuge to anyone that calls upon him in a time of trouble, who calls upon him in truth and faithfulness. There's an inheritance for Yisrael. No, you Yahweh has taken and has brought out of a smelting furnace, out of Egypt, to be a people of inheritance for him, as you are today. Irregardless to the punishment that you and I are receiving in the nations, Yah says that you're my inheritance. You're my possession. Everyone else gets to inherit the sun and moon and the stars. They all have that in common. But what they don't have is Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. They don't have the glorious name of Yisrael. They don't. It hasn't been given to their family, but it's only been given to the sons of Jacob. The name Yisrael is the blessing. Yah tells us about what we need to do. That was found in your Torah portion. He says that they will, number one, confess their misdeeds and those of their ancestors, which they committed against me in their rebellion. They will admit that they went against me. I put in red right here because I'm going to explain this to you. At that time, this is continuation of what we just read. At that time, what time? The time where they're going to confess. I will be going against them, bringing them into the lands of their enemies. But if their uncircumcised heart grows humble, and number 5, they accept their punishment for their misdeeds, then I will remember the covenant of Yaakov, and also my covenant with Yitzchak, and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. It's in red because this is misleading. When you look at the English language, when they talk, they're misleading you. When it says at that time, I will be going against them. So with that at that time separates you from the confession. And then he says, bringing them into the lands of their enemies. I want you to listen carefully because we're going to come back to it. We need to examine this carefully. That's why I put 5 things here. Okay. Here it is. These are the 5 things that you and I must do. And I'm going to show you the reason why what they wrote was misleading. I left it in English because I don't want to confuse you. I just want you to see it. I want you to understand it. The awon is the iniquity and the guilt that Yah says that you and I must confess. Okay, that's the hithwadu. The way that he says for us to confess everyone is something that has to be causative from ourselves. It's not by anyone else. Like there's an action that I could do to you, and there's an action that you can do to me, right? So I can feed you, you can feed me. I can hit you, you can hit me. I can hug you, you can hug me, okay? So that goes back and forth. If I wanted something to be causative to you, I can cause something for you to be hugged by someone else, okay? Or when that person hugs you, you were hugged, okay, passively. You were, the action happened to you, okay? So you can do the action or the action can happen to you, right? But there's another way that something can happen. That means that you could do the action on yourself. So the way that this is written in the Hebrew text, the confession is something that you have to do to yourself, okay? Meaning, like when I say do something to yourself, when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, right? And if you eat, you cause yourself to eat. That's a reflexive action. You ate, but you're the one who caused yourself to eat. So you're causing the action that you're doing to yourself. I'm brushing my hair. I'm braiding my hair. You're doing that action to yourself. I'm bathing my body. No one else is bathing. You're doing it to yourself. See? So this confession is something that has to be done by oneself. They have to cause it. So how is one to cause themselves to confess? Well, according to Deuteronomy chapter number 30, you're going to sit back and you're going to think carefully about what has happened to you. So this is something that you have to do yourself. So this confession is not by someone prompting you. So you're not going to, there's not going to be a Christian leader. There's not going to be a pastor. There's not going to be a rabbi. There's not going to be a teacher. There's not going to be a kika. There's not going to be anybody. It's not going to be your mother. It's not going to be your father. It's not going to be your priest. It's not going to be your friend. It's not going to be your lover. It's not going to be your husband. It's not going to be your wife. It's not going to be your job. It's not going to be anybody else. It's going to be you that have to do this. You have to do this on yourselves. Okay? I hope I'm making this clear. Let's break down what Yah says that you have to do. Okay? On yourself. He's not going to make you do it. That's how cold it is. He's not going to make you confess. The angels are not going to come to you and tell you to make you say sorry. Not a prophet is not going to tell you to do this. You're going to have to do it yourself. That's going to take a lot of courage. And that's going to take a lot of mind power and a lot of strength and a lot of focus and a lot of determination, a lot of will, okay? Because the things that you are going to have to understand is, number one, the awon is the iniquity, is the perversity of yourselves and of your ancestors. So whatever family you're from, you need to look at you and you need to look at your mother, your father, their parents, and their parents, as far as you can go back. And understand that they were perverse. A lot of people don't want to do this. They don't want to throw mama under the bus or big mama because they gave them some oatmeal and some graham crackers and they made tuna sandwiches for them. And they took them to the park and they went fishing and all this kind of stuff. They had great experiences with them. So they're not going to, I don't want to do that. I don't want to speak bad about my mother or my father or my grandparents or their parents. Okay? You don't do that, you're disqualified from Yah. Number two, you need to understand that the unfaithfulness, okay, that you and I, okay, as individuals and your ancestors betrayed the Most High. I didn't do anything. You're disqualified because you haven't been thinking. You haven't really considered. Just like our ancestors took the time to think about refusing not to do what Yah says and coming up with their own plans, now he's saying, I want you to do the very same thing about how you're going to get out your situation. It's just the reverse. It's just the opposite. This Torah portion is about opposites. If you notice in chapter 26, verses 1 through 13, he tells you all the blessings. And from 14 down, he tells you everything that was the opposite. If I told you you're going to defeat your enemies, the opposite is they're going to defeat you. If I told you that I'm going to get rid of all the wild animals, the opposite is I'm going to have them come and bereave you of your own children. I told you that I'm going to give you the rain. The opposite, your skies are going to be iron and your land is going to be brass. It ain't going to bring forth nothing. I told you that the land is going to give you her yavula. She's going to give you the produce. The opposite is that you ain't going to have no yavula. You're going to eat your kids. I told you the opposite. I told you that you are contrary to me, and the word Hebrew is called carry. You are opposite of me. You're doing the opposite of what I told you. You're going in the opposite direction. You're thinking in the opposite way. You're being obstinate. You're being stubborn, and you refuse to change. You have betrayed me, the Most High says. You have betrayed me. If you will not confess that, you're disqualified. Number 3, contrariness. You're going the opposite way. I told you, im bakukothai the teliku. If you in my statutes and my decrees, my regulations will walk, meaning to live, halak. Halak means to walk, to live. Okay. We have intentionally, deliberately walked in the opposite direction of Yah. Well, no, I was a Christian. I went to Bible study. I did Sunday school. I prayed. I fasted. Yah says, I don't care about any of that. You got to acknowledge. You have to confess. You have to throw your hands up and say, this is what I did. He said, if they're humbled hearts, they would humble themselves in uncircumcised hearts. That word humbled that we looked at talked about bending a knee. Bending your knee to the king and telling the king, I confess. God's looking for confession. I'm not looking you to confess that somebody died for your sins. That's not what I asked you. I asked you to remember and to confess that you are contrary to me, that you went against me intentionally. If you can't see it, disqualified. 4, this is where it really got messed up. That's why I put it in red. Back here, remember? I put it at that time and bringing. I put it in red because it's misleading. I don't want to put a mistranslation. I'm just saying from the mindset of the people, of the translators, they're putting words in there to make the story make sense for them, not for us. You have to keep that in mind. The other part of the confession that we're missing, which at that time, I'll be going against you. That's not what he said. He didn't say at that time. Guess what he said? He says, I want you to confess that Yahweh himself, I am contrary to them. You got to confess that I'm contrary to them. So what is the misleading? The misleading is they didn't tell you. They told you that you got to confess the misdeeds and those are your ancestors that they committed against me in the rebellion, and they admit that they went against me, period. That period says that's the end of that subject. That's the end of what I'm asking you to do. Then it gets said at that time. No, this phrase right here, then they will confess. That confession, the word admit is not even in the scripture. It's not. They put that there. Okay. The confession goes with the deeds of those of them and their ancestors. The confession is their betraying, being unfaithful to me. Like they said that they went against me, the halak. They were in their rebellion against me. The confession is that I am going against them. Not at that time I will be going against them. The confession is that I am going against them. I'm going against you. You got to confess that I'm against you right now. But guess what our people are saying? He's not going against me. I had a brother lead his class. No, I'm blessed. Because he refused to say that Yah's going against him. He doesn't want to accept that. Like a lot of us, we don't want to accept what Yah says. I'm against you. But you want me to be for you, which is going against what I said. It's like when Yah brought the children of Israel into the land and he told them to go in the land. They refused to go in the land. Then he said, you're not going in. Don't worry about it. I'm bringing your children in. What did they do? They put on their swords. They said, no, they went anyway after he told them not to go. This is a learned behavior of our ancestors. Yah said something. No, we're not going to accept that. He's not going against me. Yah says, if you don't confess that I'm currently going against you, then you're disqualified. You got to confess that too. You got to confess that Yahweh himself is the one who brought them into the land of their enemies, not that he's bringing them into the land of their enemies. You got to confess that I'm the one who brought them into the land of their enemies. If you do not confess this, you individual, not as a family, you as an individual, you're going to be disqualified. This is imperative. This is essential for you to understand as an individual. So these 5 things that are listed right here, if you don't say these things and you don't wholeheartedly mean it and understand it and know it, then you're done. That's why this is dangerous right here. At that time, I will be going against them. Yes, he already told us that, but he said, I need you to confess that. They put a period on the end of the sentence on the last one right here to make you think that the only confession you need to talk about is your rebellion and that you went against the Most High and you had some misdeeds. No, you got to confess that I'm going against them. Not at that time. You got to confess. You got to confess not that I'm bringing them. He already knows that. You got to confess that I'm the one who brought them into the land of their enemies. The question is why? Why is it that he's asking us to do this as individuals? Why is he asking us to acknowledge this? The answer is he wants us to know who we are, what we are, and why we are, why we're doing what we're doing. I want you to know, I need you to remember who you are. I want you to remember what you are. And I want you to remember why you're doing what you're doing. Who are you? When you look at the word or the name Yisrael, within that name, it talks about a sar. A sar is a ruler. It's the shin and the resh. These 2 letters right here, for those of you who don't know the Hebrew language, not a big deal. It tells you this. It's broken up into 3 parts. This Yoda right here is he. This right here is rule. And to rule is to turn. Because that's how you rule. You turn somebody's head. That's how you rule. Okay. This letter right here is the head. The resh is the head. This right here means to turn. So a sar, a ruler, is someone who turns the head of someone. Okay. And what it is that El is the one that's turning the head. Okay. So he turns to El. Okay. So he can turn to El. That's what Israel will do. And El, which is Elohim, turns him. So you can translate it going this way, and you can translate it going that way. So the person that turns to El is the person who El turns. That's who you are. You are the person whom Yah turns to walk in his ways. You and I are the person. That's why you need to know and remember who you are. He's asking you to remember what you've done. I want you to remember what you have done. You turned away from Yah. You turned away from his ways, his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, his bakukothai, and his mitzvathai, and his mitzvothai, which are basically my rulings and my judgments and my commandments. The king has spoken. And I want you to remember why I've done what I've done to you. I've done everything that I've done to you because you're not living up to your name. You're not remembering who you are. You're not remembering what I've done for you. You see? That's the problem. And your leaders and your people around you, your teachers are not telling you. this. They don't want you. They tell you that you're Israel, but they don't want to tell you what the expectation is. They don't want to tell it to you. But that's what Yah's asking from us. This is huge. In your Torah part said, for the land will lie abandoned, meaning I'm going to azuv, I'm going to remove and forsake the land without them. I'm going to get you guys out of there. And it will enjoy its Shabbats while it lies desolate. They had that word payment, paid, will be paid in Shabbats. The word there is not paid, it's actually to enjoy. She's going to enjoy her Shabbats. Why? Because I told you that 7 years, every 7 years, she works worker for 6 and let her rest on the 7. I told you, let it be 7 sevens, and you give her a Yovel. You guys didn't do it in chapter number 25. So because you didn't do this, I'm going to get you out of the land because that was part of my kukothai that you didn't listen to. You refused. Okay. So as Israel, I need you to do something. Okay. So while she's lying desolate without them, they will accept. In the English, it says pay. It's actually to accept. They will accept the punishment. You and I are going to have to learn how to embrace the painful idea that we betrayed Yah. If you and I don't say it, and we don't live it, and we don't act like it, and we don't behave like it, then you haven't unlearned your lesson. You're still going contrary. You still refuse to embrace what Yah has said. If anything, after you punish your child or someone, they did all this time while they're in prison and they've been exiled a while from their land, and they still haven't accepted what they've done and won't say what they've done that is wrong, they haven't learned their lesson. That misdeeds right there is Yahweh. You are being paid. You have to accept the punishment for Yahweh. You have to embrace your punishment, which you and I are not taught. You and I are taught that all we need to do is sing some songs and cry, and Yah's going to hear us, and that's a lie. Yah's not looking just for your tears. He's looking for us to change our minds. Why? Because they rejected my rulings. Just like I told you, I'm going to reject you. You rejected my rulings. Your ancestors hated me. They hated my kukothai. They hated my regulations. They hated my judgments. They hated everything about me. And that's the reason why I'm telling you that you got to do this. You don't do this, then you haven't learned your lesson. Yet, King of the universe speaks. In spite of all that, of all what? Of them rejecting me, hating my Bakukothai, and rejecting what I said, and not following the instructions, not giving the land her Shabbats, not releasing the slaves of their people, not treating them like slaves because they're my slaves, not releasing them in the 7th year in the year Yovel, not being honest with their brother and taking advantage of one another. In spite of all that, breaking my Shabbats, in spite of all that, I will not reject them when they are in the lands of their enemies. My face may be against them, but I'm not going to reject them. Nor will I hate, that's loathe, be disgusted with them to the point of utterly destroying them, and thus break my covenant with them. Yah has never broken the covenant. He says in our Torah portion that you're going to break, if you hafritha, you break the covenant, you stamp upon it. Yah is not a human being. He's not going to break his word. He's not weak like us. He cannot be destroyed like us. He cannot be experience famine like us. He cannot be hungry like us. He cannot be sick and bony and withered like us. His eyes are not going to melt away in his face like us. You can't scatter Yah like us. Yah can't be chased by enemies like us. Yah will never fall to the sword like you and I. And neither will he pine away. Why? Because I'm Yahweh. I'm their Elohim. Rather, for their sakes, whose sake? For the ones that I told you, we're going to pause and go back to it. For the ones who said, I'm going to confess the awon of myself and my ancestors, their perversity, the twistedness of their thought life. They didn't want to be straight. The ones who said, yes, I've been unfaithful and I betrayed my Elohim, me and my ancestors. Yes, I've been contrary. I've been contrary intentionally, not an accident because of my sin nature. Me and my ancestors both have walked contrary to Yah. Yes, and Yah is the one who's been contrary to us while we're in the lands of our enemies. And yes, Yahweh is the one who brought us into the land of our enemies. We acknowledge that and we confess that. And because you have done that, rather for their sakes, I will remember Mizikar the Barithi, the covenant of their ancestors whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim, with the nations watching, so that I might be their Elohim. Because that's why Yah has done what he's done. So he could be our Elohim. If Yahweh was not our Elohim, you and I would have been destroyed as a people. If it wasn't for his faithfulness, we would have been destroyed. If Yahweh is to hate us and reject us like we did him, we would have been destroyed. If Yahweh is to loathe us, we would have been destroyed. If Yahweh was to treat us like the Christian God did, we would be destroyed completely. But he's not. One final admonishment before you leave today, as you enjoy this Shabbat of Yahweh. Yahweh is telling his people to Shema. I need you to Shema, Israel. I need you to listen. I need you to hear, and I need you to obey my people. While I'll give you warning. Israel, if you would only listen to me. Did you know that was a big part of our Torah portion? He says, if you don't listen to me, I'm going to chastise you 7 times. If you just still won't listen to me, you won't listen to me, you won't listen to me, you won't listen to me. That's our problem. We have a listening problem. We have an obedience problem. There is not to be with you any foreign god. You are not to worship any alien god. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Telling us you don't need anyone else. You don't need any other Elohim. You don't need any other Savior. I'm the one who brought you out from the land of Mizraim. Don't you ever forget it. And I'm going to give you a command. Open your mouth, and I will fill it. Fill it with what, Yah? What do you want to fill it with? Well, I'll tell you in just a moment. But my people did not listen to my voice. I gave them a warning. I talked to them. My voice was what I said to your leader, Moshe. I told him what to tell you because that's what you asked for. You asked for him to come and listen to everything I said, and he told you everything I said. He told you everything in Wayikra, chapter number 26, that I told him to say. Chapter 1 all the way to chapter 27. I told him what to tell you because you didn't want to hear it. You wanted a man to tell you. So I used a man. Because if you didn't listen to him, and if you don't listen to him, you're dead by default. But Israel would have none of me. It's never Yah, people. It's always us. So I gave them over to their stubborn hearts. I gave them over to that contrariness. I gave them over to their own stubborn hearts. Your mind that is bent on doing what you want to do, to live by their own plans. They wanted to live among the nations. That's where you're going. You want to serve other gods? That's what you're going to do. Oh, only if my people will listen to me. That Israel will live by my ways. I would quickly subdue their enemies and turn my hand against their foes. If only we would listen to Yah, he would have been destroyed our enemies. He would have subdued them because that's what he wants to do. But he will not do this until you and I live by what he says and does what he says. Yah's intention. Those who hate Yahweh will cringe before him. Who are the ones who hate him? The ones who won't do what he says, and also of the nations. They're going to cringe. Yes. While Israel's time will last forever. They will be fed with what? With physical finest wheat. Not a spiritual wheat that falls out of the heavens. The finest wheat, where? In the land. And I will satisfy you with the honey from the rocks. The sweetness of the land. Because that's Yah's intention. Is to care for us and to take care of us. That's the reason why he told you to open your mouth. You and I will listen to Yah, then you can open your mouth and he's going to put something in it. I'm going to put the finest wheat in your mouth. You're going to have the finest of grains. You're going to have the best of wines. Your land is going to be famous. But you know what our people don't want? They don't want what Yah wants for us. They're going to tell Yah what they want from him versus what he wants to give to us. They're the ungrateful children. They're the dissatisfied wife. You see? That's what we are. He tells us that I want to bring you to the land of your ancestors and give this to you. We say, no, we don't want that. We want wings and fly around in heaven and live forever. God tells you, I want to give you the honey from the rocks, and I want to give you streams, and I want to give you pomegranates. That's not a big deal to people anymore. Why do I got to do that? I got Costco. I got Rayleigh's. I got, just different stores that I can go to and go get the food I want. Why do I need that? I can go buy my water. I have my own independence. I'm doing this. This is who I am. This is my strength. I'm the one doing it. I just need your air and your oxygen, and you keep giving me that, and I'll keep living the way I want to live. Even though I'm your people, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. You're not going to tell me what to do. Yah says that's not how it's going to work. Shabbat Shalom, Yisrael. Next week, your Torah portion is Bamidbar, chapter number 1, verse 1 through chapter 4, verse 20. Haftarah is going to be in the book of Hosea, chapter number 2, verses 1 through 22. But Midbar is going to get into some counting. It's going to get into how Yah has established the nation while they were traveling through the wilderness. And it's a pretty outstanding book, what they would call a scroll. And it's a continuation. It's not literally separate from Wayikra. It actually begins with a Wa. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later. Okay. So today, I hope that you were able to capture or gain some more understanding and some wisdom about what it is that the Most High has expected from us as a people. Okay. And you are going to have to become passionate about Yah. You understand? You're going to have to. And you got to be careful who you're listening to. Okay. I won't say that I'm the only teacher out here saying this, because I'm not, but you got to be careful who it is that you're listening to. And you have to have careful ears, because people are only going to tell you this stuff. You know, our people by nature are the ones who love songs. You know, we got to get past being taught or hearing things to make us happy, and we don't want to deal with the difficult things and the challenging things. You know, one of the things that I understand, especially as a parent, as a father, is that when I'm talking to my children, they, you know, I'm always concerned, like, okay, I don't want to hurt them by the things that I have to say to them. That's one of the things that I don't ever want to do. But I also know that um, I'm going to have to say some things to them that is not going to be good. It's not going to be good for them. But I say those things because I do love them and I want them to know. And I I've adopted my parenting style according to the Torah. Yah says, if you don't listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you. If you're not doing what I asked you to do, then you don't expect nothing from me. See, and that's the way it is. And that's the way it's going to be for the children of Israel. Our Father, our Elohim, our Master, our King, our husband, everything that he is to us is amazing. And he's loving. And I found out in this Torah that he has intention. And his intention was, I want to do good things for my people. I don't want to do bad things to them. As a consequence of you going against me in front of the nations, I have no choice. You went against me in front of the Malachim. You went against me in front of the Cherubim. You went against me, the ones who have their faces covered with the 6 wings that said, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. You went against me in front of these. I will destroy them. So what makes you think that you could do what you're going to do and I ain't going to say nothing? It ain't going to work like that. You and I are created beings, and our Elohim is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And we're going to have to get with the program. So take some time today and go and understand that you're going to have to say these things. It's painful, but it's the truth. You can stop recording, Cisco. Thank you.